Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be checking out the newly released Transformers Shattered Glass Voyager class Megatron, and I won't even lie to you guys, I've been super excited to actually get this figure in hand, as judging by some of the promo images he looks fantastic, by far the best looking Shattered Glass figure that we've had released so far, and actually seeing him in person that does appear to be correct. Now we'll very quickly take a look here at the box. You can see we've got that really awesome diagonal design going on here for the side with a wicked picture there of Megatron, the heroic leader of the Decepticons. We've got the Shattered Glass Decepticon insignia there, as well as a decent window view display of the figure. Sadly, you can't really see any of the new additional accessories, but as we spin around here to the side, you can once again see a wicked image there of Megatron looking so badass. And then as we just spin around here to the back of the box, this is really where you'll be able to see some of the differences between this particular version and the previous Siege Megatron figures that we've got, and he looks so awesome, especially with this new shield attachment as well as these jetpack pieces, and he has a completely different alternate mode. Honestly, I'm so excited to actually see how this turns out in person, as far as I'm aware they haven't actually made any differences to the mold itself, so this has merely been achieved by some of these additional attachments, which really is going to change the game, as pretty much any of the other Transformers figures that we've gotten in the past that could potentially have some hidden modes depending on what accessories Hasbro do decide to package in with them. You can see we have a very brief bio of Megatron, the heroic leader of the Decepticons, stands against tyranny and the fight to bring peace to all Cybertronians. I would actually really love to get a Netflix series of the Shattered Glass continuity. I think that it's one that would be really worth exploring, and one that I think many collectors as well as fans alike would love to see actually on the screen. But you can see here at the top, Transformers Shattered Glass. So without further ado, let's crack open the heroic Megatron and see how awesome this figure actually is. And so here we have the Shattered Glass Megatron cracked, or should I say shattered, out of the packaging, and the figure, much like some of my earlier presumptions, has turned out so well. He's by far the best in the entire lineup, especially considering that some of the future figures are mere just repaints, such as Jetfire, which honestly was such a letdown when that figure got announced. If only they could have been half as creative as they were here with Megatron, the entire line would have rocked many collectors' socks off. But anyway, taking a look here at Megatron, you can see that much like Siege Starscream, we are utilising the Siege Megatron mould. Now this is a mould that's been repainted so many times, so upon first glance I was a little hesitant as to whether or not I should really pick it up, but I'm just so glad that I did, as with this release and the actual Netflix repaint, they are by far the best versions of this mould I personally believe that you can buy. And for those who watched my Shattered Glass Starscream review, you guys know that I had some critique in regards to the price point being a little too high for what we were actually getting. Megatron is actually the first figure where I think the new price point is justified, as not only are you getting the base Voyager, but you are getting a slew of new additional accessories, which honestly is something I really wish we could have seen from the likes of Starscream instead of just sticking in that really rubbish sword. But nevertheless, we'll take a closer look here at Megatron first. You can see the main body is exactly the same as the Siege figure, so nothing all that new going on here, but the paint really does look awesome. Now for those of you lucky enough to actually look through several of these on the shelf, I would highly recommend watching out for the face paint. As you can see here, sadly I do have a few blemishes on the actual lips as well as nose, but this looks really well done. Definitely a lot different when in comparison to any of the other Siege Megatron sculpts that we've seen so far. They do appear to be using an almost cream white for the actual base colour of this guy, which I actually think looks really awesome. You can see all of the yellow's been applied so nicely, and we have got that matte black actually applied here to the shoulders, and you can see here for the arms looking really awesome. As we turn our attention down to the lower section of Megatron, it's exactly what we've all come to know and expect with this mould, albeit this time cast in white, as well as a few different variations of black and grey, and of course the red. Now actually getting into the meaty part of the review, that being the new accessories, honestly, wow. So this time round Hasbro have given Megatron what essentially is a jetpack. Now these have been completely cast out of this wicked transparent blue plastic. It looks very similar to the Battlemaster sound barrier that we got packaged in Earthrise, and honestly I love this. It looks so well done. You can see here from a front perspective, we've got some areas which have been really nicely picked out there in red, and we have got what appear to be these almost missiles, or maybe they're thrusters actually attached here to the sides. These are not removable sadly, but really do look wicked. And as we turn our attention to Megatron's shield, this is so cool. Now of course this will double as the actual cockpit of his new jet mode later on in the video, but you can see the transparent blue we've got going on here, as well as this really sharp and pointy nose cone. Now this is no doubt intended to be a dagger or a sword for Megatron in order to impel Optimus Prime and the Autobots with through battle, and it can also act as a shield for him to use in combat, which once again is just so cool. You can see really nice paint as well as detailing going on for this particular component. And as we take a look at some of the more familiar accessories, we get the same sword that we got with the Siege version, completely decked out in a black plastic, albeit this time with some nice metallic blue here on the tip, and you can also see the same for the fusion cannon, although we've got some excellent red detailing actually embedded in this particular section. If I just very quickly remove some of the accessories so that that you guys can see what is essentially the base figure. You can see here that everything comes off, nothing is permanently attached, so we can just set the shield pieces as well as the jetpack off to the side. I would recommend being a little cautious when handling this. It is still cast out of transparent plastic, so maybe don't yank it out of the port. Just take your time and wriggle it off. It does feel as if though it's firm, but you never know with transparent plastic. So actually taking a look here at the base figure, you can see it's exactly the same as the actual Siege Megatron. You can even see some awesome metallic blue highlights here for these intakes. That just looks so well done. Very quickly going through this guy's articulation, we do get the ball joint here at the head, which can look left to right as well as up and down. You can also utilize the neck joint in order to get him looking slightly further down. We get a full rotation here at the shoulder, a hinge joint out to the side, full rotation at the bicep, 90 there at the elbow, full waist rotation, which is awesome. The legs can kick forwards that far, back to that far, out to the sides, full rotation at the thigh, 90 here at the knee, and finally the foot can pivot forwards and backwards ever so slightly, as well as of course rock side to side. And unlike the first production run of Siege Megatron, these do in fact actually click into place, which is awesome. So overall, honestly, just such a fantastic looking Megatron, by far one of the best in the series. And honestly, unless we get a wave 2 of the Shattered Glass figures, then this is by far going to be the highlight out of the entire line. Turning to a few comparisons, we've got the new Shattered Glass Megatron compared next to the Siege Netflix repaint. As mentioned beforehand, two of the best repaints I believe we've personally gotten from this mold so far, and if we do actually get more repaints, it'll be really interesting to see as to where they go with this, as I really think they've reached a peak here with this new SG Megatron. But you can just see the differences in regards to what the new components make to the overall silhouette as well as the colorization. And considering we're dealing with the heroic Decepticon Megatron, you could actually take the Matrix of Leadership here from this Netflix version and actually apply it here to the Shattered Glass release. And that actually looks so awesome. It attaches in exactly the same way as it did here on that Netflix version. So be sure to check out my Kingdom spoiler pack review for a tutorial on how to actually do that. But for those of you who own that figure, you guys already know how to actually install that. For another comparison, here we've got him compared next to the Shattered Glass version of Optimus Prime, looking really cool. I think these guys look excellent together. And then of course, finally, we'll compare him next to the recently reviewed over on the channel Shattered Glass version of Starscream. I do apologize that he's being slightly blasted out by the white review station, but definitely really good pairing with these particular figures, and they look fantastic alongside one another. Now for transformation, you guys will be very surprised to see that this particular Megatron does in fact have 3 modes. So it's essentially a triple changer. With these new components, we are able to create an almost jet mode for Megatron, which really was the major draw here for me. I think that looks so awesome, but considering he's the same mold as the Siege Megatron, you can also transform him into the tank. So really, if you want the most out of your money and you want bang for your buck, then this Shattered Glass Megatron truly is the one to go with. But nevertheless, going into the transformation, you are going to want to remove all of the accessories besides the fusion cannon. So just attach these wing pieces and set them here off to the side. We can then collapse the wrists just like so and repeat the same process. Lock the arms into place, rotate the fusion cannon around just like this, turn your attention to the back, take this section, lift this here all the way up, and then bring these arms in and just snap them together just like so, and rotate here like this. We can then turn our attention to this region, of course, open this section here out, and then it's just a matter of shooting this here back all the way until this component does tuck under this black section, and then these slots here and here are going to be fulfilled by these tabs. So just snap them in just like this. And then really finally for the transformation, you just want to collapse the heel spurs in and rotate the legs inwards just like this, and then rotate here at the waist. And that is essentially the conversion for Megatron fully completed. Now right now he really doesn't look like a heck of a lot, but that's where we can now bring in the accessories. So if we bring in the nose code, these 2 tabs here and here are in fact going to slide into these slots. So just snap that in there. We can then snap that section in there as well. Just align everything up appropriately. So ensure that those heel spurs are clipped together, and then just align all of this top section up. We can bring in the jet pieces, and these are just going to attach onto the sides where the treads are, and spin around here to the side and repeat the exact same process, and just like that, there you've got Shattered Glass Megatron fully transformed into a rather convincing jet mode. For a figure which never had an actual jet alternate mode, I think they've done such a good job in essentially just utilising 3 brand new components. It has really altered the look of the alt mode, and honestly is fantastic. You can see the nose cone here. I personally actually think looks really well done. I know there'll be many out there that will critique it, but this is supposed to be Cybertronian in design, so who's to say that this isn't the type of jet that you would expect to see on Cybertron? You can see really nice detail, all of the same sculpt work that we saw in bot mode, so I shan't go into too much in regards to that. And you can see how the wings do perfectly slot here onto the side of the tank treads, creating for this really awesome look. And as mentioned beforehand, these can definitely dub as missiles, as they look so awesome. Now sadly, there is no official installment here of the actual sword, but I'm pretty certain that you could wedge it in there, much like you could for tank mode. Now considering the transformation from this particular mode into tank mode is the same as the siege version, I shall in fact skip it just so that you guys can actually see how this guy looks in tank mode, but we'll very quickly go over the jet mode one more time. You can see there really nice looking sculpt work going on for the cockpit, the fusion cannon, that red detailing looks terrific, as well as those awesome transparent wings. So without further ado, let's get Megatron transformed from this into this, which is of course the siege tank mode. So definitely all of the modes still retain here with this particular figure, and honestly I just think it's so awesome. Now sadly, this particular mode is not featured on the instructions, so I don't necessarily think Hasbro intended any of these accessories to be stored on this guy, but you could still take the wings and actually peg them here onto the sides and create an almost Revenge of the Fallen-esque type of Megatron tank mode, which I think is pretty cool. But sadly for the shield attachment, there really isn't any place you can store this unless you attach it onto the side, but then the wing sections are going to rub along the ground. But definitely a lot of options with this guy, and options are always great with any type of figure. And so, some final thoughts for the Transformers Shattered Glass Voyager class Megatron. If you guys hadn't guessed already from this review, I'm really impressed with what they managed to pull together with this guy. With essentially only 3 brand new components, they've drastically altered the look of the robot mode and created an entirely different alt mode for this guy, one of which we hadn't seen prior to his release, which is just so cool. This mold is 3 years old now, and those 3 new components truly have injected new life into this guy. He looks so awesome. I have got to talk about the paint. I think that just as a repaint itself, it actually looks really cool. We've got a white version of Megatron to go along with the white version of Starscream, and of course we've got that wicked metallic blue applied. I do think the new components are fantastic, especially those transparent blue wing sections, and even the cockpit, which can dub as an almost blade / shield for robot mode. The transformation into the jet mode is more or less exactly the same as what we got when we transformed him into tank form, although you do just have to slightly alter the position of the legs, and that is just so cool. Honestly, the fact that they engineered the figure to turn into a tank, and now this time round can actually get him into the jet, honestly I just think it's wicked, and I really wish that more figures from this line could do that, such as Jetfire. As honestly, Jetfire is just such a poor letdown. Why is he just a simple repaint? The figure should have had either a new head sculpt or just some new accessories, just something, but we'll get into that when I eventually do my review on him. I really like this guy, and if you're a fan of the Siege Megatron mold or the Shattered Glass universe, then you have to pick him up, as he's by far the best one that I personally have taken a look at so far. I would love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of this particular figure. Shall you be adding it to your collection, or will you be giving it a miss? And also be sure to let me know on what you think of the review itself. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.